What's up, peeps? You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Lionel B. Thank y'all for tuning in to the Lionel B Show, man. Today we got a special guest on deck with us today, man. We got Craig. He is DMX's manager, man. RIP to DMX, man. And it's definitely an honor to me because I was one of the first people to actually, mention the unfortunate passing of DMX, man. So it's a super honor to actually have Craig on deck with us today. Mr. Craig, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate you for having us here.
No
And
doubt,
thank
no
you for all
doubt.
the love you showed X. Thank you very much.
For sure, man. I was definitely a big fan of DMX, man. Coming up in high school, I remember hearing this music, man. I know it was probably around '98. That was my senior year, man, and it was
Right.
the craziest music I ever heard, man. I'm like, damn, dude is super lit. You know what
He
I'm saying?
changed the game, right?
There you go. Took the words right out of my mouth, man. He definitely changed the game, man.
Right.
So tell us a little about what you doing right now, man. Look like you kind of like in a studio or something like that.
Yeah, we in here right now. You caught us in the studio here. We're just wrapping up the album. We back with Def Jam Universal. And working on this DMX Pop Smoke record right now, wrapping it
Man,
up. The last song for the album.
man.
That was executive produced by Swiss Beats and myself. Um, and it's a classic. That's all I can tell you. It's a classic. I mean, I know you guys have heard by now, but I'll go through it with you. We got a record with, of course, Pop Smoke, the other new artists, the Griselda Boys, Benny the Butcher, uh, Conway and West Side.
That's big, man. That's big, man.
Record with Bono from U2.
Mhm.
We have a record with um, Usher, a record with Lil Wayne that's sick. We have a
Mhm.
record with Nas. I mean, I know I'm leaving somebody out. It's just a classic. 10 bangers and a prayer.
Yo, it sounds like definitely it's gonna go platinum, man, or at least
Yeah.
diamond, man, with all those features on there, and just how amazing of an artist, you know what I'm saying, DMX was everything, you know what I'm saying. How has y'all camp kind of been dealing with his passing and all of that, man? I know I know it's brand new and it's fresh right now.
Everybody's, been kind of dealing with it in their own way. For the last year, myself and Jungle, his road manager, we've been on the road with him for the last year straight. We also had a videographer on the road with us, Dave Jones. Um, and it's been tough because we spent every day with him. We went to Nashville first for the first 4 months of COVID, and then we went to LA for about 3.5 months. Then we ended up in Miami and Atlanta and South Carolina before we just came back to New York. It was after All-Star Weekend. His last performance was in Atlanta, All-Star Weekend. And then we came home to kind of unwind and relax before we got to promoting the album and doing the videos. And unfortunately, that's when he suffered that heart attack on last Friday evening. And it's been tough on us. I mean, throughout the day, you go through disbelief, can't believe it happening, to all right, he's gone, and the pain of that, to where I'm at right this second is he's gone, but he lives within us, because I know the journey we were on and the mission we had to complete. So it's like, you know what, we got to still give him a voice. And so I just engross myself in work, so that way we can take care of his kids and further build upon his legacy. So my whole focus now is his children and making sure we provide for them. So
Right.
that's the only thing that takes a little bit of the sting out, is the ability to just focus on the kids, man, because his kids are so beautiful, and we got them together actually while he was in the hospital, with the anticipation that he would wake up.
Mm.
So it was bittersweet. It was beautiful seeing the kids, because a lot of them, they met one another for the very first time. So
Mhm.
that was the beauty in it. And then, of course, the bitter part was that he didn't wake up.
So what was it like days before his passing? And when do you remember what the last conversation was that you had with him?
The last conversation I had with him was on the Wednesday. I forget the date, but it was on that Wednesday. And it was, he sounded good. It was a business call. We were talking about the conference calls that I had coming up with Def Jam to kind of get the final paperwork and the legalities done with the album so it could come out. We were looking at a June, July release date. And about, he was anxious to go shoot the video down in Miami. And then we had talked also about some NFTs. A lot of people had been reaching out to us about NFTs. Um, and then it was just, the focus was also back on the kids because we were in the process of, we were in pre-development for a fatherhood show that we were
Mm.
going to film this summer,
Oh wow.
with him, reconciling with his children, introducing them to one another, and that whole journey being like a reality show. So
Mm.
that's where the focus was, and that was our last conversation.
Man. So I know you guys were of course shocked, but did you kind of see him kind of drifting in and out of depression during those times? Do you think it was
Throughout
like
the year, X he had a lot of trauma in his childhood that everybody's aware of. That's been well documented in his book, and he's openly spoken about it in various interviews. But I'm gonna tell you right now, that especially this last year was like the man was doing so much like personal development and growth and introspection and looking within himself to figure himself out and realizing that this year I'm going to turn 50, and he's like, I can't keep making the same mistakes. So he was in the process like struggling. We had so many conversations, um, just about him and things that had happened to him, things he's overcome, things he's going through, things that he continues to relive in his mind. And yes, he definitely had, um, some mental health stuff that he was dealing with and struggling with. And but the strength in him is that he was openly talking about it with us, and that was the first step.
yeah.
And so we spent more time, even though we were working on the album, we spent more time just administering, like ministering to him, like his making him happy, his social and mental and emotional well-being. Like myself, like I said, and Jungle were on the road with him and spent every day with him.
Mm.
Um, and so that's a little bit what gives us comfort too, is because he had the support around him. And
That's interesting that you said that, because I was gonna that was gonna be one of my other line of question is with him not feeling love, with him not having feeling like he had his flowers here. So you're basically saying he was heavily supported, he was
he
loved. It
was,
was just something he couldn't get beyond.
what the beauty of it was, he felt and started feeling the genuine love of the small team that was around him, especially this last year. But
Mm.
not only that, as we're doing the album, I was watching his expressions, and people were giving him his flowers while he was alive. When
Right.
when we bumped into Jamie Foxx, and for him to see the raw emotion, and Jamie saying, "Dog, do you know how much you mean to us, man? We're
Mm.
rooting for you." I have a video that I took, and Jamie's like, "Yo, there's times throughout the last several years where I might see you on social media or in the news, and he didn't come out and say it, but he was like, I was like, because you might see him more slender, and
Right.
and he said, "You look so good." And X made the joke like, "What do you mean, fat? Is that what you mean? That's what they call it now?" And he was like, "Dog," and he said, "No, I'm only messing with you. I know." He was like, "Yo, dog, you look so good. You look like a man. Yo, we're rooting for you. We're pulling for you." Or when we did a driving show in Cincinnati in October, and Dave Chappelle lives down there, right out about an hour and a half away. And
Mm.
so they reached out through to me through Styles P and Talib Kweli. Like, listen, Dave wants to see X, and we went to his house, and X is cooking for him crab legs and his spaghetti dinner. And when
Mm.
Dave is like, "Yo, listen, from one icon to another, you are a legend. Do you know how much you mean to us?" And I could see him like he needed to hear that from these people. You know what I'm saying? Like after
Yeah.
everything he's been through, definitely over the last several years, you could tell it just lifted his spirit. I mean, no matter who we ran into, Forrest Whitaker, because he's on the Godfather of Harlem, and
Right.
X is on those soundtracks. So he just did a new record, um, produced by Swiss, who I think French Montana is on it as well. We just completed that before we came back to New York. And I remember Forrest reaching out to him and just saying, "Yo, I appreciate you so much, X. I appreciate you for being a part of this journey with me." And I could tell when he hung up, he's like, "Yo,
Mhm.
people they showing me love." Like you could tell it did his heart good, you know.
It seems like almost like he didn't really know that he had such an impact on so many, other celebrities as well. That's what I'm kind of gathering from what you're saying.
Exactly. I could tell it did his heart good, and he would say it. Oh, one of the last before we left to New York, we went over to Ti and Tiny's home,
Mhm.
and the love he received and the genuineness and like he was like, yo, people really, F with me. They really, and I was like, yo, are you like, it did his heart good,
Yeah.
because after you've been beaten down so much in life,
Right.
like sometimes it gets to you, you know what I'm saying? And so like that's what was our main focus, is letting them know, like, listen, dog, we got a mission and you mean so much to so many people and your voice is so strong that when you say something, other people could say the same thing. But
Right.
when it comes out of your mouth, because people know your pain and you've been so open and honest and you've been so giving, that people hear it differently when it comes from your mouth.
It
You
does. He
know,
could say anything, and it just sound like you said. It sound way different.
it's
Like a whole
prophetic.
nother.
He'd say anything, right? I did an interview the other day and I was like, listen, I could take his rhymes, the same track, and spit it. It's not going to have the same power
Yeah.
because I'm not saying it with the same authority he says with. Because when he says anything, it comes from his heart. It comes from he's spitting from his guts, because he says what he means and means what he says. He's just so authentic. And I think that's why, like I always say, I think that through the years that people love other artists when they're fans of them, and it's because of their music. They made a hot song, they made a hot record, you know what I'm saying? Or because
Mhm.
of their fashion. But X was none of X. People loved him because he was a rock star, because of the man he was,
Right.
and he, I can tell you this: we've never ever one day went where we were out in the street, out in public, where at least one person didn't come up to him and say, "Yo, I just want to thank you so much. Your music changed my life,"
Yeah.
or "Your music saved my life." I had one. She was about, I would say, 21, 22 years old. She said, "Oh, a Caucasian white woman," and she was like, "My daughter has a mother because of you."
Wow.
Like he would look at, and he would just, you could tell, and his eyes would swell up, and he'd be like, "God, this is a heavy burden," you
Mm.
know, and so, people don't really, and he says this. He said, "People, even my biggest fans, aren't going to understand me until like 50 years later."
Mm.
He said, "People think they know me, but they really need to hear me, and it's going to take them a while to really listen to my music and understand what I was really saying."
That's amazing that he said that, man. And it's almost like he felt like he wasn't really worthy. Because I know on some of the, on stage, he had a moment where he's like, "I'm not worthy." Like I guess
Right.
he for why do you think he felt like he wasn't worthy for everything God gave him?
I think he just battled with that in himself, that he was, as a child, went through so much childhood trauma
Mm-hmm.
that, and remember, in our community, and this is the other thing we were going to do with this fatherhood show, in our community, it's taboo. You don't go get mental health. You don't go and speak with therapists. And that's something we were going to attack heavy on this fatherhood show, because we
Wow.
were going to have psychologists, psychiatrists, family counselors, there on staff for this show, just so that whether it's him, the children, whoever, could work us through whatever. Like,
Mm.
and it's so taboo. And that's another thing he really wanted to address with this show. Like, it's okay to it's okay to hurt. It's okay to have depression. It's natural, anxiety, but just go talk to someone. Don't hold it all and keep it inside, that you continue to harm yourself.
Right.
You know, and he's just been through so much in life, and then the path, the addiction and all that. It's just a lot, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that brings me to my next question I want to ask you about in terms of his relationship with Reddy Ron and the things like that. Reddy Ron basically came out and was saying, the age was way off. Like, did he ever speak to you directly about that? I'm pretty sure, because a lot of his depression probably came from that as well.
As far as being introduced to drugs,
Yeah, with him
he
smoking the
he kept telling me 14. He has always said 14. He said he was a kid looking up to him. Matter of fact, one of the few male figures in his life. And so he was like, I looked up to him and he was like my role model. He was popular. We beat boxing, we rhyming. And he said, so he passed the blunt, and then he didn't realize till later, because he was like, whoa. And he found out later that it was laced with crack.
Yeah.
Never, um, he's never wavered on that. Never.
He was only 14 years old at the time, like when
That's what he told me. 14.
that could have killed him instantly right there, like
It
just
has.
you
Yeah.
not knowing.
Yeah.
So in terms of like with Reddy Ron, do you kind of know what his age was? Because he's trying to say that he wasn't grown, he was only like a couple years older than DMX.
I'm not sure. I don't even know him. I don't
Got you,
know. I don't know him.
got you.
And obviously don't care to.
Right, right. Has he reached out at all?
Not
Offered
to
any?
me,
No,
not
not
to
to you.
me, and I haven't heard about any of the family saying he did. I haven't. No.
Got you, got you. Man, that's deep, man. That's deep, man. We definitely learning a lot, y'all, about DMX, man. We got his manager on here. Shout out to Craig, man, for pulling up on us, giving us some insights, man. Like, what do you think his fans would want to know? I know you said, most his fans probably won't understand him until like 50 years
Right.
down the road, but the ones that do understand him, or we think we understand him, what do you think he would want us to know?
That he had the biggest heart and that he wasn't perfect, but he was trying. That he was trying to become a better man. I mean, we were just in Atlanta and one night it was freezing. We were coming out of the Metro Diner and he bought hotel rooms for 4 of the homeless.
Wow.
Things like that that people don't know about daily, constantly just giving away, helping, people out. But I think the biggest thing is, and I think people got a little bit into it this last year,
Mhm.
because you could tell he was more comfortable and he started opening up more. Because you see, he have you laughing all day. He is one of the funniest people you can meet. He's quick witted, and I think there's a few videos that have gone viral with him dancing. Like we're in the studio and put on old school music. He
Mhm.
didn't even listen to much rap. He loved old school R&B every day, and so he's singing, he's dancing. There's one video actually when we were Dave Chappelle, and he's singing,
Mhm.
and we have that recorded. But he loved R&B. He was a prankster. He was a joker. Had an incredible sense of humor. Actually loved to dance, and lighthearted. And besides that, the little quirky things like what he ate. He he loved now and laters. So he always kept now and laters with him. He loved his soups, noodle soups, sardines with it had to be skinless, boneless in water.
Mhm.
His deer dill pickles, stuff like that. Like in his Kool-Aid, and you couldn't believe the amount of sugar he put in his Kool-Aid.
That's crazy.
You know,
He
he
sound
make
like
his
he sound like he had the commissary diet a little bit, man.
right, exactly, yeah, exactly.
Dang.
So those are
So
the things behind the scenes that people would,
that's
it's
dope.
funny.
So as far as all the reports, man, because when it was reports out there saying he passed, reports saying he didn't pass, and
Mhm.
it was kind of going back and forth. How did y'all feel like seeing those reports? I know Steve Rifkin came out and he mentioned stuff. He was like, "Hey, y'all chill with this," and then other
Right.
people was like, it was kind of it was all over the place.
Yeah, Steve and I have been co-managing X, and he did make that statement because you had a
Right.
million. You know what it is? Anybody was that was in his life at any time,
Hmm.
whether it was 15 years ago, 7, 8, all of a sudden, everybody's popping up as X this and X that,
Right.
and wanted to get their 5 minutes of fame, and none of them were there. None of them were at the hospital.
Mm,
I can name on one hand all of us that were at the hospital every single day, and yet they're making statements. And what they failed to realize is this, and it's not just on them, it's on the news media and journalists. Like, you're so quick to get a story, make
hmm.
sure it's accurate, because
Right.
now I'm the one that has to get calls from his daughters or his sons,
Yeah.
because they're excited because they heard, oh, he's off the ventilator and he's alert.
Mm,
And so they were so excited. And I have to be the one to tell them, don't listen to that. That's not true. You're going to hear from me if there are any changes. He's still in critical condition, still fighting for his life. Like
right.
that's hard to do to children.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so that's what I would say about that. A lot of people talking. I would just say social media, journalists, news. Make sure you're talking to people that legitimately are in his life currently. You
Right.
know, and it's
So,
very few.
so it kind of sounds like there was probably a lot of celebrities that kind of wanted to make his passing more about them. Do you feel like that's an accurate statement?
I think that's an accurate statement. Or you know what it is? It's like
What's that?
everybody grieves in their own way. And
Hmm.
so everybody was so eager to speak on it.
Right. Right.
And all I would say is, I know everybody loved him because, people we came into contact with definitely showed love, but very few were actually there for him.
Got it.
So,
So my
and
question: where the hell did Linnell get that story from? Because she was like one of the first celebrities to say R.I.P.
I have no clue. I have no clue. Like, even
And
when his attorney, like the one gentleman that made a statement, Murray Richmond,
mhm.
has actually been a long, and he looks at X like a son. I mean, he's been his criminal attorney for like 30 years. He's known X for about 30 years and been his attorney. And I had to call him when he made that statement about he's, alert and off the ventilator. And I said, yo, where are you getting your information from?
Right.
Number one, stop talking. And he apologized when I said, listen, I have his sons and daughters calling me and they're happy, excited, like daddy's awake. And And he was like, "Oh my goodness, I apologize." And I said, "Well, where you get this information?" He didn't tell me where, but he said it's somebody I believed. You know,
Man, that's crazy. Because of course they had the whole internet, of course,
right,
tuning in because we're entrusting this guy and believing, what he's saying and all that. So
right,
that's kind of wild that he would take
right,
it upon himself to come out with that story, man. But
right. And
definitely
then a
sorry.
lot of it is internal. A lot of it I know because I'm trying to find out who was making certain leaks. I mean, the family would literally be meeting in the hospital, and as they're in there, it's being reported out. And I'm like, where is there someone internally?
Right.
But someone told me that there was a family member. They didn't identify them, of course, but they said it was a family member. So, people are just
Wow.
people are, all I can tell you is this, is that the man loved even those that did him harm. He constantly loved and he constantly gave people chances over and over and over again, even when I recently where I'm like, I don't understand why you keep messing with them, man.
Right,
Like,
right.
let it go. I'm not telling you to hate, but stop allowing people to hurt you that way, and but his heart was just so big. He just kept giving people second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth chances,
Man.
you know. Um,
So he had a big forgiving heart.
oh, big forgiving heart. Big forgiving heart, you know.
That's
Now.
amazing. When are we expecting the new DMX album? I already know the lineup crazy. You said the lineup was insane. Right now you in studio.
Mhm.
There's a DMX and Pop Smoke song coming out. Y'all, it's about to be super crazy.
Yeah,
I already know
it's
it's gonna be
crazy.
dope.
It's
So
crazy.
what release date are we looking for?
Right. We originally it was going to come out June, July. All I
Mhm.
can tell you at this point is going to be much sooner, and the announcement will be made probably within the next week to a
Oh
week and a
man,
half.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome. So y'all, man, thank you so much, man, for tuning in with me, Craig. Man, it was a pleasure having you on my show, man. Once again, rest in peace to DMX, man, and thank you so much for doing so much for his children, his family, his legacy, and also telling his truth, man, that he can't speak his truth right now, but you stepped in and you spoke his truth for him, man. So we definitely salute you, bro.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for the love and the fans for showing so much love and support to his family.
No doubt,
It
y'all.
means a
So
lot.
y'all, yes, for sure, man. We got Craig in the building, man. DMX manager, man. You already know what I'm about to say. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the videos. Share these videos. I'm gonna peep y'all on the next one. Holla.